Hi,
Hi,
I'm Nick,
I'm Jill.
and we're Hipstrings. Today is September 26th, and it is episode 11, 2017.
Yes.
It's episode 11, and we just came back from Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival, and we had an awesome time.
Yes, so that's why I'm a little low energy now.
You're tired. It's okay, go to sleep. I'll teach everyone how to spin. No?
I'm sure you could, but you spin weird. So.
So we will talk about Shenandoah. We actually have some video on that. But first, we're going to do everything else. So let's start with Warp, Twisted, and Loopy.
Yep.
We're still...
So guess what? What are we knitting on?
Oh, we're not knitting on chicken butts.
No.
No. We're knitting on sweaters.
Yeah. So I think by my calculations, but it's like 3 weeks to Rhinebeck.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's kind of scary.
Maybe 4. I'm gonna pretend it's 3.
So we can get things done in time.
So we can get things done on time.
All right, I'll start off with my my first thing. I finished my first set of rows with the color work.
2 pattern repeats, right? Now you have a decrease?
Yes, I had a decrease. I already did the decrease, actually. You can just barely tell there's one little stitch there that does the decrease. So the next row is going to be that much better. And then I just want to show off the floats on the back because I'm particularly proud of them because I worked really hard to make the tacking them down and make it not look terrible. So yeah, I got to weave in a bunch of ends in the end. But and then why don't you talk about yours while I grab...
So I'm on my first... I'm on my color work too. I'm about halfway through the first triangle. My floats are super sloppy right now. And you can't really see them because there's not much contrast with this first color. But my idea for my yoke was to have a single color from each of the other family members' sweaters. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it will be because I don't think the main colors are going to work out. They may be a little, like the red wouldn't work from Adrian's. So I'm trying to figure out which colors I'm going to pull together for my yoke.
You got bits of yoke colors, so you're using part of mine, right?
Yes,
That's what
right now I'm starting with yours.
Yeah.
And then I'll probably move on to Gab's. So the hot pink will be next.
Oh, you're going to do the base color of...
I think so.
Okay.
And then I'll do an Adrian color. And then I'll probably do 2 of Chris's colors, which will probably finish with bone.
You should do one of Chris's and then one of your own choosing.
But my own choosing is the body of my sweater.
You can choose 2 things.
Really? I'm allowed?
You're allowed. I give you permission.
Thank you.
God, now I sound terribly misogynistic. All right, and then to contrast that statement, the sweater I am knitting for my daughter in bright pink. I've only done a little bit of the base. I'm going back and forth between the two projects based on what I have more ability to give attention to. So if I can't think about it right away, then
you're doing stockinette in the round.
I'm doing stockinette in the round, and if I can give a little bit of attention, like when we're watching shows or something, then I can work on my own sweater. So we'll see what I can do now. The one thing that I will say though is I had been incredibly stubborn because I was going back and forth with doing the needles and not actually using the key to tighten them. And I think, oh well, I can tighten them well enough. And I just kept on having the annoying situation that the needles would untwist and I'd get the loop stuck in the little gap there, and then I have to twist it again. And then Ashley ended up saying, well, why don't you just try it with a key and see what happens? And I did it, and then I couldn't get it off. I needed the key to get it off, and even then it was quite a bit of effort. So my one bit of advice to everyone is use the keys. And what I mean is there's that little hole behind where the needle, the screw part of the needle, we don't need the keys for the stoppers. But so the needle's going to come on here. There's a little hole right here. And you stick something small in there. It could be a paper clip, could be the thing that actually comes with the needles, and use that for tightening. It doesn't feel like it makes a difference, but it makes a huge difference. Why are you giving me that face?
Because I realized I was drinking the wrong cocktail.
Oh?
I always code our cocktails with how many cherries I include.
Oh.
My cocktail always includes 3 cherries, and yours always includes 2.
What was special about yours?
Oh, I finished mine, and mine only has 2 cherries.
Well, yes, but why was it different?
It's not different except for the number of cherries.
Okay,
It's how so I can tell who's drinking which cocktail.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Drinking in aviation, in case anybody's curious. Jill is a fantastic bartender. Moving on.
Moving on. I have decided I'm going to do a run of the Bowie DK in Gab's color.
Yeah?
Yeah, because that bright pink is too much fun.
It is. It is very much so. So what else do you have in your works in progress?
So I have some spinning finished. So I showed one of these skeins, but it wasn't washed yet, and now I've washed both of them. So these are the last of my Cormo cross fleece. So I have officially finished, and I'm done with spinning my first entire fleece. My first actual fleece, I spun a bunch of it, but then I just got tired of it because I couldn't spin it from the locks. It required combing or flicking and too much work. So I gave a couple pounds of it away. But this I spun an entire 7-pound fleece by myself. It was probably a little bit less than that because the 7 pounds was before washing. But this wasn't too landly, so I'm still pretty sure it was a significant amount of fleece. So this is a Cormo Cross. It will be added to my giant blanket of doom. And maybe one day it will actually be cold.
Yeah, we haven't had quite the fallish weather yet.
We had it for 3 or 4 days, which was great because everybody was like, "Wool! I need wool!" But this past weekend was 90, which does not make you think you need wool in your life. So, but I get to cake these up and add them to the blanket. That should add about another foot. And then I'm going to spin the border to make it a little bit wider and longer during Spinzilla. So
great.
I will have a finished blanket by Christmas at least. That's my plan.
Yay.
And then other works in progress. I've made some progress on my hap for Harriet. I need to weigh the ball and see how much left. This is one of those patterns where you work on it until you reach a certain percentage of the yarn. And so I think it's time to weigh the ball and see. But I have definitely figured out that even simple garter lace takes a lot of mental effort for me. It is what it is. And then today, I took as a kind of decompression day from after the weekend.
All your normal tasks? All
my normal tasks, because I love fiber festivals. Shenandoah Valley is our biggest fiber festival of the year.
And our favorite.
Well,
except for Indy Knit and Spin.
Yes.
But that's a different reason.
But I am definitely an introvert, and so having to be on all weekend really takes a lot out of me. So it takes a couple days for me to recover. So today I decided I was going to do some computer work and sit on the couch and knit. And so I still worked because this is a shop sample. And I got myself to the color change, the contrast color. So now there's these interesting little short rows. So this is the Winnie shawl by Sarah Jordan. And I'm knitting it up in Sabbatical, which is our sport weight yarn. So the pattern's written for fingering, but I like big shawls, and I cannot lie. So I'm just using a sport weight. This is a merino cotton flax silk blend. I really love it. And I'm excited to have gotten some major progress done on it. So.
All right. Well, that's everything we're working on right now. But what's coming up in the future? Is it next week already for
Yes,
Spinzilla?
next week is already Spinzilla.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
So I wasn't going to do Spinzilla this year. But I got roped into it. So I'm joining the Ross Farm Fiber Friends team. And actually hosting an event for them at the Hipstrings studio on October 7th. So you don't have to be a member of the team, but we're having a day-long spin-in and potluck on that from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Bring your wheel, your spindle.
And you have to
spin.
And you have to be somebody who can consume food.
Yes. So we will take care of you so that you can spin uninterrupted for most of the day. But I want to talk a little bit about prepping for Spinzilla because I think this is going to be my third or fourth Spinzilla. And so my approach has always been to either work on a technique that would increase my productivity or to get some yarn made that has been lingering in the stashes in form of fiber. So I want to do a little segment on what I call Spinzilla prep or how to be a productive spinner. Because Spinzilla is supposed to be all about production. It's about creating yardage and
blowing through that stash.
And really challenging yourself to see what you can do in the matter of a week. Tour de Fleece is such a long haul. Spinzilla is a week. You can completely just focus.
So let's start with that because some of our viewers may not be familiar with what Spinzilla is.
So Spinzilla is a week-long event that is hosted by the National Needle Arts Association. You join a team, or you can be a rogue spinner. Teams
rogue spinner. That sounds badass.
Spinners. Spin on your own. Teams compete to create the most yardage. A lot of teams these days aren't so competitive. Ross Farm team is not a competitive team. We are not looking to create the most yardage. It's more camaraderie and community.
Support.
Yes. But it's, I think now $15 to sign up to be part of Spinzilla. You can win prizes. And also all the proceeds go to charity to bring fiber arts outreach to disadvantaged youth. So it's for a good cause.
Yeah, and that I mean, it sounds a little bit silly sometimes, fiber arts outreach to disadvantaged youth, but we've been directly involved in some of these sorts of activities, and the response that people give is rather remarkable. I mean, some of the things I've read about, prisoners learning to knit and then having that little bit of extra meditation completely changing their lives. So, I mean, think about what knitting or spinning or crocheting or weaving or whatever does for you in calming and helping you.
Yeah, because I doubt any of us are actually doing it as a necessity to clothe ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, just that almost meditation time that it gets you. And if you don't know how to do this, and if you don't know about it, it's difficult to get that sort of Zen moment.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's also fun to do the Spinzilla stuff because it's a great opportunity to tell everybody else in your life, go away.
I'm spinning.
I'm spinning. So, all right, how do you prep for this?
So what
do we have stretches, calisthenics?
There probably should be. I've actually been my knees and my ankles have been giving problems because I haven't been spinning lately. I've been knitting instead, but I'm trying to save up all my Spojo for Spinzilla.
Spojo.
Yes.
Wow, I've never heard of that term. Okay.
Oh. So, to make the most of Spinzilla, there's a couple things you want to consider. The first is fiber prep. Fiber prep is going to depend a lot on what your technique is. During Spinzilla, I tried to do long draw because long draw is a lot faster and more productive. You will blow through a lot more fiber in a shorter amount of time with woolen spinning than worsted spinning. So fiber prep, to really make the most of woolen spinning, you want to work with carded prep. So get out, prep some row logs, grab your poonies, grab some nice roving from your local shepherd or shepherdess. That's what I tend to focus on in terms of fiber. And what I'll be spinning this Spinzilla is mainly a CVM roving that I got from the Homestead Hobbyist. And I think I have about 8 or 12 ounces left of it that I need to spin up. It might even be a pound, which I can definitely do in a week. But if you are more of a worsted style spinner, you do short forward draw or backwards draw with like comb top, or you want to work through some of your stash of comb top, prep it however you want. I usually just spin straight from the braid. I don't do anything to it. But you will get a little bit faster and a little bit more productive if you do strip your top, divide it, beat it so that it's a little bit more airy, and open it up a little bit. So that's fiber prep. So for me, for productive spinning, I go woolen. I go with a carded prep. Wheel setup. So we've talked before, there's 3 different types of tensioning systems on wheels, mainly. There's Irish tension, which is a bobbin-led system where you're powering the bobbin. Most people think of this as associated with the Louette wheels. Then you have Scotch tension, which is flyer-led. So you're powering the flyer and you're braking the bobbin. A lot of wheels have a Scotch tension setup. And then you have double drive, which you have...
The shacked wheels. Sorry, the shacked wheels typically have the Scotch tension.
Well,
right?
shacked wheels can actually... Most of them can do all 3.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But they're usually running Scotch. And then double drive, you have a figure 8 drive band that is powering both the flyer and the bobbin, but at different speeds, therefore giving you take up. Without getting too technical, I personally think that for production, double drive is best, because anytime you break any part of your mechanical system, you're losing energy. You're having to put more energy than it's actually getting used. So that's why I think double drive is best. I really like double drive, especially for long draw. I feel like it's less, you don't have as much resistance on your treadles. It's not as hard on your feet. It's not as hard on your body to spin on a wheel that's set up in double drive. I've also been spinning more on my Louette S17, which is an Irish tension, a bobbin-led wheel. And I actually think for the energy I'm putting into it, it's a single treadle wheel. I think it's more productive than my Scotch tension wheels. That I haven't done any objective testing. I'm interested in doing some objective testing to see what my production is on an Irish tension versus a Scotch tension, but I haven't done it yet. But just my sense is that I'm able to get more fiber on the bobbin with the Irish tension than with Scotch tension. And it's very similar to my productivity with a double drive wheel. So, just saying, if you have the option.
And as we've said, when Tour de Fleece happened, lube your wheel, make sure it's clean.
Lubrication is important. I highly recommend Super Lube for wheels. It'll work on any type of connection. Any place where something's rubbing up against each other that isn't a sealed bearing, you should lubricate.
Well, the other thing is, what's the weight of the motor oil that is a good alternative?
It's a very, I think we use 10W30.
Yeah.
Because that just happens to be what our cars used.
If you and around there is probably sufficient. So if
Yeah,
you've
a
got
lightweight motor oil.
if you've got a car head friend or significant other or something, and you don't have super lube, a lightweight motor oil is a good alternative. You may be able to find it in your garage and just get a very, very small amount, right? You don't want to just completely coat everything. You want to use
get a nice needle,
tiny needle
nose.
syringe, right? If you got a friend with diabetes, I don't know. No, I'm not condoning using sharing
Don't
needles.
share needles.
No.
Get your own needle for your wheel.
But yeah, no, it just you can get these tiny needles with bottles that are used for oil. You just fill up these tiny little bottles with like an ounce of oil, and it'll last you for a year. So okay, and then you have in your notes a 2-ply versus 3-ply.
So this is kind of a controversial topic.
Uh-oh.
So I know a lot of people say spin 2-ply because you'll get better yardage with a 2-ply versus a 3-ply, which is true. If you take singles and you turn them into a 2-ply versus a 3-ply, you're going to get a lot more yardage with the 2-ply. This is true. And Spinzilla is all about the yardage. So you may be tempted to do a 2-ply. However, I have an argument. I haven't objectively tested my opinion. I will someday.
But you've got a lot of these untested opinions here.
Yeah.
Are you sure you're a scientist?
Not anymore. I'm an artist now. It's all about opinion. My argument is 3-ply. A 3-ply yarn requires less twist in the plying. And this I definitely know. And so you will spend less time plying a 3-ply yarn than a 2-ply yarn. Okay. I think it's something like a 3-ply yarn requires 30% less twist than a 2-ply yarn. I know for myself, I'm used to spinning 3-ply yarns. And I usually underspin my 2-ply yarns when I'm plying because I just get impatient and I don't have the patience to ply them correctly. So my argument is, even though you will lose a little bit on the yardage side, you will save a lot of time, about 30% of your time, spinning a 3-ply yarn compared to a 2-ply yarn.
So then that's an interesting question, because then depending on how fast you ply versus how much time you spend making singles, you can make a pretty easy calculation on what...
yeah, someday I may use actual math to answer this question.
Yeah. The other thing I'll add to that is, yeah, you're doing this for competition, you're doing this as part of Spinzilla, and then after the week is over, you have yarn. And
this is my other part. In the course of entire time with a project, if you get impatient with getting to that finished project, a 3-ply yarn is going to be a fatter yarn, a loftier yarn. It will knit up or weave or crochet much faster. And therefore, you will get to your finished project much faster.
Well, I was going to go from the standpoint that you don't want to have crap yarn at the end, right? If you want to do a 3-ply, okay, so you suffer a little bit in yardage. You don't win that gold medal, but you have yarn.
It's actually a golden nitty noddy.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's giant.
Wow. Okay. Regardless, you want to make sure you make something that you'll use and you're proud of.
And I have used all of my Spinzilla yarns.
Yeah. Okay.
But I will say, doing a traditional 2-ply or 3-ply or 4-ply or 8-ply is faster than doing a chain ply. Because I know for myself, at least, when I chain ply, instead of being able to go to a faster speed to ply, for chain ply, I usually have to slow down so that I don't overply it. And so, therefore, I can't spin as fast as I normally would with plying with a chain ply. So, don't chain ply during Spinzilla. Plan accordingly.
My only piece of advice is have fun, right? It's
Yeah.
most of the teams. If is it too late to join any teams? Are they still doing
No, I
signups?
think you can still register until September 30th.
Okay. So and a lot of teams that are doing this, they
It's for fun.
it's for fun. They'll give you little prizes to start off with. Yeah. So.
But the most important is to have fun. Don't hurt yourself. Take breaks.
Have fun. I guess is our bottom line.
Yeah.
So now I think we've gotten to the time that we're want to give you a tour of Shenandoah, and Jill doesn't know this. Jill didn't see any of the video recorded, but Christopher actually wants to take you around and show you what Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival is all about. So take
Is
it
it
away,
about
Chris.
sheep?
Well, there's a little bit of that, but take it away, Chris. So we're here at the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival, and Chris and I are gonna give you a little bit of a tour around, right, Chris? Yeah. Where are we gonna go? That way? Okay, let's go. So it's early on Sunday, and as you can see, it's a bit of a ghost town, but that's what we were telling you before. But there's plenty of vendors here. Yesterday was pretty packed. There's actually two barns, three covered areas, and then a whole bunch of outside vendors you can see. Look who it is, Chris. So what I didn't realize is actually they have more vendors inside the fleece sale building, which is a third barn that I didn't mention before. So let's check it out. Right next to the entrance is the Ruritan building. It looks pretty nondescript, but this is actually where a lot of the interior vendors are. that was our Shenandoah, and obviously didn't see a lot of stuff about our booth, but it was
We were there.
We were
sold
there.
Things.
We sold things. I do want to give a shout out to Michelle Kearns, who came by the booth and told us about how our spindles changed her life. It was truly a fantastic story. I'm sorry you missed it, Jill, but I'm hoping to have a interview with her sometime soon. So Michelle, if you're watching, we need to set something up. I have your email if you're not watching. She does have a podcast as well, so I encourage you to listen to it. She talks about her projects and her knitting, and she was a knitwear designer for some time. But I don't know, anything stick out to you from the time at the booth?
I just have to say my bucket is full. My bucket is overflowing. So many people came and said such nice things about the things that we create. And it's hard to express how much that means to me. Because Nick can surely tell you that like a week before Shenandoah, I was like, everybody hates my stuff. Nobody likes me. I guess I'll go eat worms. Which is how I am like before every show and before every shop update. So actually getting to hear it in person, really, nobody has to come into my booth and say nice things about it. So it really means a lot.
Yeah. And I'll say that also extends to the podcast. We had a couple of people come up to us and talk about how they watch the podcast. So, hi, and thanks for commenting to us. And I don't know, we've actually gotten more comments on the podcast since Shenandoah. We had like 2.
Yeah.
So it does make us feel special to have that feedback with all of you, because it seems like we're just talking to the shadows in our basement right now. So
it's nice to know we don't live in a bubble.
It's nice to know we don't live in a bubble. That's true. But we loved meeting all of you. I'm sorry I didn't have as much time in the booth this year as we have in the past.
Yeah.
Our kids are growing more and more demanding, and
well,
it was funny.
The kids demanded to be at Shenandoah.
We gave them an opportunity to spend the weekend with the grandparents, and they said, no, we want to be at the Sheep and Fiber Festival. So I think we're doing something right.
Right. Because they were bothering us about getting to see their friends. So they're starting to make friends with the children of other vendors.
Yeah.
And so they're enjoying spending the weekend hanging out with their fiber friends.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We needed to bring a wheel for Gab so she could have done stuff there.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the sweeties who joined as well.
All the sweets.
And helped out with the booth, and with
especially to Ashley, who was our booth helper.
Yeah.
Who made this weekend run so smoothly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is so nice to know that we can walk away as needed, especially when we need to put on our parenting hats, and know that our booth is being well represented and well taken care of.
And one of our parenting hats was to buy a new bunny.
Yeah. Okay, so Shenandoah, there's a couple different places that have rabbits.
Yeah.
We are already a rabbit household. We have a giant chinchilla rabbits. I've had rabbits almost continuously in my life since I was 8 years old. So I have a soft spot. But for the last couple of years, I've always been able to say no because we already have a rabbit. And we're busy. And taking in a new pet is a big responsibility to know that they'll be taken care of and well loved. But like late on Sunday, Nick comes and just like, we need another bunny.
I didn't say that. I said you need to take a look at this bunny. and our daughter is the one that's saying,
yes,
we need another bunny.
So I went and so it wasn't an Angora because I wasn't ready to take on the responsibility, all the extra work of an Angora. But it was a little Jersey woolly, which it turns out afterwards. They are a breed that was developed in the 1990s pretty much for the pet trade. They're a cross between a Netherland dwarf and an Angora rabbit, and a small Angora rabbit. So they are only about 3.5 pounds.
Tiny.
As adults.
So cute.
Now, realize that the rabbit we are currently used to right now weighs somewhere between 12 and 14 pounds. And so it's like the size of a large cat, or even some larger than many dogs.
Yeah.
And a bunny that size eats a lot, sheds a lot, and is a lot of work. However, and cannot be kept in a cage. She's just simply too big. So she's a house rabbit. She has run of our family room in our kitchen, and she's litter trained, and it all works out great. But introducing another rabbit would have to get along with our rabbit we already have. So the Jersey Woolseys were specifically bred to be docile pet rabbits, and small. And so Gab had picked out this one particular one, which was a female, and pulled her out. She wasn't really scared of people. She was very calm and everything, and that's important. Rabbits have very differing temperaments, and so I asked the breeder a whole bunch of questions about temperament and care and everything and size. And so this is a bunny that's about 1.5 years old, so already full grown, and she is teeny tiny. She's like 1/3 to 1/4 the size of our other rabbit.
She's half fluff.
Yeah, she is half fluff.
Her fluff is about this big, and her body is like, that big.
Yeah.
But I think the best thing about her is the fact that, she is completely a lap rabbit, and somehow she has communicated with our other rabbit and has trained our other rabbit.
This is the best part. Within a day.
Within a day. Our other rabbit did not like sitting in your lap, and within a day now, I don't know if it's because Trixie, our old rabbit, is jealous, or if they have some communication or what, but I could put Trixie in my lap now and just sit and pet her like some evil villain. And she's fantastic. So she's never done that before.
Yeah, so Snowflake is the new bunny, and is perfect Gab size, and so now sits in Gab's lap while she watches shows or reads a book or that kind of stuff. And so now Trixie is definitely your rabbit, my rabbit. But they're getting along, and Snowflake is definitely can be kept in a cage. And so we have a super huge cage from a previous rabbit that we had, which is a palace for a tiny bunny like Snowflake.
And maybe we'll talk about this in a future podcast, but I think we, as a family, are in agreement. Rabbits are much better than cats and dogs. We might lose some viewers because of that statement. I apologize. But they are, if you don't have a pet and you're looking for a pet, rabbits, they are easily house trained. Actually, that's how you hunt for rabbits. They actually do their business in the same spot, and so you look for piles of rabbit litter, and that's how you hunt rabbits.
Right.
So naturally, they're litter trained. And as long as you don't have a bunch of cords running around on the ground, or a bunch of applewood or pine furniture. They don't chew on things. You just need to make sure they're spayed or neutered, and their personality is wonderful. Our previous one that Jill was mentioning before, Rocky, he passed away, but he would play fetch with us. We had a soccer ball that was the size of him. We'd kick it out. He would run over to catch it and bring it back to us. They're wonderful personalities, and I greatly encourage you to consider one because they're fantastic. Plus, you can spin.
Yeah. So the Jersey Woolsey, apparently you can spin from them. So Gab is determined to spin from her new rabbit.
She's collecting a little bit of fluff every day.
Yeah.
Well, with that, it's probably time for us to get going.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for watching. Thank you to everyone who stopped by the shop. Our shop's open again on Wednesdays and the first Saturday of every month.
And we'll start being open on Mondays as well, from 10 to 2.
Cool. So Wednesdays and Mondays. Also, just because we have to include this because I want to, the Indie Knit and Spin, we talked about who is going to be coming last time, but now we actually added it to the website. So the website's been updated, and over the next couple of weeks, we'll start be doing previews of the different shops. So keep an eye out. We're really excited.
It's a really fantastic group of vendors.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, and have a good couple of weeks.
Bye.
Bye.